welcome to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching. I am the T1D Moms Coach. I'm here to help you manage your mental and emotional health while managing your child's diabetes. 2 of my 5 kiddos have been diagnosed, and so I'm very familiar with your struggles, and I don't know where I'd be without these life coaching tools and the gospel of Jesus Christ to get me through the day and night. Thank you for joining me as we journey towards feeling less scared, sad, and stressed, and start feeling more calm, confident, and connected. Let's get started. All right, welcome back to the Fruit Snacks Podcast. This is your hostess, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching, and I have a super special guest with me today. Who are you, sir?
Hi, I am Creed Wardrop. I'm Emily's husband.
Isn't that fun? So fun. So he also insisted that we record this and put it on YouTube. So you can go to the YouTube channel, Drop the Word Life Coach, and see us passing the mic back and forth all awkwardly. Yeah, so this was kind of spur of the moment decision. We were totally off the cuff, nothing planned. But I thought it'd be fun to hear from a T1D dad for a change. So Creed, what else do you want to tell us?
Thank you for joining us, folks. Yeah, so I guess if you're on video, we'll be passing the mic. If this is audio, that doesn't matter. So yeah, T1D, type 1 diabetes, is obviously a challenge for families, and we've been blessed with 2 of our 5 little children to have type 1 diabetes. And I guess there's probably a couple things that we can talk about today. I guess the very first thing that I would do to offer advice to anybody with type 1 diabetes is just make sure that you have good communication with your doctor, and hopefully see if you can get good insurance to do anything and everything you can to get onto modern technology. That's probably the first thing I would tell you, and probably try to get onto a CGM, constant glucose monitor, a continuous glucose monitor, and then get on a pump if you can. A lot of times people will say, well, I can't afford that, but there is miracles with insurance, and Omnipod can offer you discounts, and you can find ways where it can be affordable. You don't have to be a millionaire. With that said, we've gone through all the throes and challenges and all the heartaches and dramas of having children with type 1 diabetes. The first initial time, first little while, where you're thinking, am I going to put my little baby to bed, and is my child going to wake up in the morning alive, or is my child going to wake up in the morning dead? Maybe I gave them too much insulin, or maybe they're high all night, or how do we manage their blood all throughout the day? And those are some of the challenges and things that I think we've been through, and some of the roller coasters that we've been through. And I've obviously been there as a father, and Emily's been there as the mother. So yeah, that's kind of an intro. I thought that maybe we just kind of go from there. Mm-hmm. So one of the first memories that we had is when our 2 kids were diagnosed. We had 5 kids under 7.
We only had 4 at the time.
4 kids under 6. And so our oldest was 6, and our youngest was 18 months. So Zerica first got diagnosed in December of 2020, and she was 3 years old. And I remember going to the doctor, and she was wetting the bed just out of control after she'd had dry nights for probably almost a year. Like, we better go to the doctor and see what's going on here. We didn't know anything about diabetes at the time. We didn't know that over wetting was associated with, trying to excrete excess sugar. We didn't know that. But we went to the doctor, and they're like, okay, well, let's do a urine test. And then after they do the urine test and they send us home, they call us back up and like, oh, you better come back and do a blood test. And we're like, okay, we'll come and do a blood test. And so when we went in and did the blood test, they helped us understand blood glucose levels. We didn't even have a finger prick or anything like that at our house at that time. No one in our family's type 1, no one in our family's type 2. So this was all new to us. So they tell us and help us understand and give us the education at that point, just at the Instacare, that healthy blood sugars for a kid of that age should be anywhere in the range between 100 to 150 blood glucose on a regular level, right? Hopefully between 100 and 120. And they told us, well, your kid's blood is over 1,000 right now, and you need to go to Primary Children's Hospital immediately. And so we went up to Primary Children's Hospital, and I thought, when we got there that they were going to, give us some kind of pill or give us some kind of, just a quick medicine or give us some kind of remedy. And then we would just go home and go on about our lives. And so I say to him, I go, so what's the deal with diabetes? Is there any kind of medicine that we can do? What can we do to kind of help her, get over this? And the doctor looks us right in the eye and is like, sorry, your daughter has type 1 diabetes. I'm like, okay, so how can we navigate this? That's the diagnosis, sir. That's the result of what your kid's gonna have for the rest of your life. We're like, oh my goodness. So that really hit us like a ton of bricks. That was stressful, list every emotion that you can list, I think we cried a little bit, me as a dad. I'm like, wow, how am I gonna be able to, afford this? How are we gonna do insurance, all that kind of stuff? So then we were at the hospital for 3 days. And they continue to give us education there about everything we need to do to count carbs. And when we first were there, they wouldn't give us a continuous glucose monitor. They wouldn't give us a Dexcom, and they wouldn't give us pumps. And we didn't even know what those things were at that time. They wanted to teach us the manual way of diabetes through shots and finger pricking. And that's what they taught us, and that was the best education that we could get. And the reason why they taught us that way is so in the situation of a safety net situation where technology fails, that we'd be able to know how to do the manual operation. So we had our daughters on Zerica just on finger pricks and shots, long-acting insulin and short-acting insulin for probably the first 3 or 6 months, probably the first 4 or 5 months, till we didn't even have a Dexcom. Anyway, I guess I'm just kind of telling you the journey. And that was new. That was interesting. She's this little 3-year-old. We're having to prick her finger 3 and 4 times a day, give her shots. I don't know, prick her finger 5 times a day, give her shots every day. And that was really challenging. Let's do a quick timeout, I guess, on that. Oh.
So don't mind the interruption. We still got our 2-year-old home. Everybody else is at school, but okay, she's dialed in with Gabby's Dollhouse favorite. So where were we in the story?
I think we were at the part in the story where we're now taking lessons at the hospital in regards to Zerica, where we're there for 3 days in treatment, inpatient, learning everything that we need to learn about counting carbs and the overwhelm of now having that part of our life and all the education that they were providing us at that time.
Right. So the way I always tell the story is that I'm at the hospital completely overwhelmed, right? And then I was also overwhelmed with gratitude that I had all these coaching tools that I had been learning for years, because I don't know where I'd be mentally and emotionally without that. So even with, it was wild. He said we're supposed to be sharing the mic and telling the story together. So now it's extra awkward because I don't know what to do with this mic. So anyway, we get home and let the trauma ensue, right? Like counting carbs. I still have PTSD if I look at the nutrition information on a cereal box. We were literally counting grapes and weighing them and seeing how many she ate and weighing them again and using a whiteboard to calculate carbs. And oh my goodness,
I think that was a lot of how things were handled when we first got home. Again, we didn't have a Dexcom. We didn't have a pump. It was all just traditional shots. And that was how the hospital wanted us to learn. And so the first preliminary way of how we were doing things, Emily took all the heavy load of all that. I was, doing regular 9 to 5 work. And Emily was home, kind of the carbs in the day. Our little 3-year-old, she wasn't even in school yet, so she had her home all day. And at this point, we didn't know that rain was going to be the next one to blindside us. So yeah, it was a lot of counting carbs up front, weighing, like she said, on scales. We had a little special scale. We still have it. Don't use it that often today. That would actually count carbs inside any fruit that you'd put on there. It gives you the full nutrition facts. That's kind of a fun scale. I guess we could maybe show you the link on that if anyone's interested.
Yeah, and you bought all sorts of new measuring cups and things that are fun to use for fun now, but we don't measure things quite as precise anymore. Because I sure got discouraged when I'd work for like an hour to calculate her meal, and then it's like, okay, it's 0.5 or it's 1. I'm like, how about I just give 0.5 or 1
Yeah.
units instead of like doing all this work. So anyway, she was a cute little 3-year-old. She had 2 older siblings and a younger sister, and we had 1 boy and 3 girls, and we always said we wanted 3 to 5 kids. We thought we'd have all boys though, and we just kept having these girls. So we thought we were like perhaps gonna try for another kid December-ish of 2020, but instead we got diagnosed. So we got diabetes instead of a baby. And
But then we got pregnant.
and yeah, once we got the diabetes kind of handled and we're like, okay, we can kind of do this, life kind of went back to a new normal. Then we're like, sure, let's get pregnant again and try for that bookend boy on our 5th child, where we capped, because we always said 3 to 5. So this was going to be 5. So this was it. If it's a boy, we're done. If it's a girl, we're done. And we give up on trying to get a bookend boy. Anyway, so
6 months into your pregnancy.
So we're pregnant, and then we get another diabetes diagnosis in June of 21.
Yeah, so that's our next little girl, Rain. And when she got diagnosed, she was literally 2 years old, maybe even 18 months. Yeah, barely 2 years old. She was barely 2 years old. And Emily was pregnant. And we went to the hospital. And we had just moved. And when we went to the hospital for this diagnosis, instead of being there for 3 days of education and learning all the things that we needed to, because we'd just been there 6 months previously, we were in and out of the doctor within about 16 to 18 hours. Because we already knew all the stuff. We had already passed all the education, and we were able to come home quite a bit quicker with Rain.
And we got to get her straight onto a Dexcom.
And got her straight onto a Dexcom. That is correct. So she got right onto a Dexcom. I will say this, the next real excitement and challenge is when Emily had our newborn baby. That newborn baby is now 2, and she's our last little baby. And there was some interesting nights there for me as father for probably 6-8 months, where Emily's waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, having to nurse the baby or get the baby back to sleep. And it's on me to, wake up and while Emily's nursing, to check the blood of 2 little girls at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and make sure they're not high or low, or make sure they're not dying in their sleep. Yeah, that was a lot. Those were some crazy, crazy days. We were in the throes of hell. No 2 ways around it. We were in the absolute throes of hell in that time. Emily's nursing children. I'm taking care of 2, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at 2 o'clock in the morning, making sure that their sugar's either high enough or low enough, or where it needs to be to keep them alive. And we were new to diabetes, and we weren't, professionals at it. And that's one thing that I think that none of us are ever really going to profess to be professional carb counters. When you're coming to learn from me and Emily, we're not going to teach you that, oh, we're a dietitian. We didn't go to school to be dietitians, but I think what we can communicate is love, faith, resilience, and hope. And I think, the way we've been able to navigate some of these things is our gratitude and thankfulness that we have modern medicine. And again, like I said at the beginning, get with your health provider, get with your doctor. There are manageable ways that are affordable to afford pumps that won't break the bank. Yeah, I would recommend to get on that so you can manage your diabetes.
I just kind of laugh that that's the first thing he brings up because he took Zerica to the doctor in the first place. I kept saying, "Oh, she's fine, she's fine," and he's like, she's not fine." And usually I'm in charge of taking kids to doctor's appointments and things like that, but he full on took her to the doctor himself because I just kept saying that she was fine. And so
when she was wetting the bed back in
way back at diagnosis,
crazy wetting the bed.
So I mean, there's a reason we're a team. That, you know, when one person says she's fine and the other one insists that she's not. So let's be team players here, right? Anyway, at that very first appointment, just with the pediatrician, she said, well, this could be diabetes, this could be some bowel obstruction, this could be, you know, she like had a few ideas. And she was like, but if it is diabetes, they have these pumps now. It's a lot more manageable than it used to be. So literally, like, he heard the word pump with the word diabetes the very first time he heard it, and he never stopped glomming on to the idea of the pump. So I resisted and dragged my feet for a really long time before we finally got on it. And of course, it was kind of like when I didn't want to take an acid pill when I was pregnant for my heartburn. For some reason, I just got to be stubborn. And then once I finally do what he says, it's amazing. So yeah, I'm converted to the pumps now too. But anyway, it's just funny that that's his main point that he wants to make. Get on a pump.
So we're on the Dexcom G6 and the Omnipod 5 for our kids, right? Hopefully we'll be able to get on the Dexcom 7 next year. With that said, the takeaway of what I was trying to say, kind of lost my train of thought there, but the main thing is that even though things can be challenging and even though things can be difficult, you can use technology to make your life more manageable. The other thing I feel blessed about is the Omnipod 5, as far as I understand, has only been approved through the FDA for maybe a year. We're in January of 2024. It probably got approved in like July of 22 or something like that. Anyway, so we feel blessed that we live in 2024 where we can have this technology manage our diabetes for our children. Again, the first 3 to 6 months of managing Zerica's blood with just shots was unbelievable. And that's how people have managed diabetes for the last, 80, 90, 100 years until they've even known how to manage diabetes. One of the things we got an education on was when we were up there, they showed us kind of all the progression of pumps and how they've, how people have managed diabetes throughout the years. And there was some of these early pictures, I want to say they're probably from like the 1940s or something like that. 1940s, 1950s, where a man actually has a huge backpack that probably weighed, 100 pounds and it had all these weird things going through it and all these pipes and tubes. That was to manage diabetes back in like the 1940s and 1950s. And they showed a little progression of how these pumps and shots and everything like that have become more effective. Anyway, so I'm just expressing gratitude, and I put gratitude to the Lord, to my Savior Jesus Christ, that I live in a time where this kind of technology can be on the earth for my little children that have type 1 diabetes. And I'm sure that anyone listening probably has loved ones or family or yourself or other children that have type 1. The Lord has brought technology to the earth to help our children and our family with type 1 diabetes. If there's an opportunity for you to tap into that, I would highly recommend that. And then, let's continue to move forward with faith and resilience. And that's my main thought, is that we can have that kind of thing to help us move forward.
Thanks, Kritsky. So, whenever I meet with other T1D moms,
just got a text about diabetes right now from our school nurse.
The school nurse is texting us. So that was another interesting thing, because they were, diagnosed as preschoolers, and I was super nervous to send them to school. And I finally just glommed onto the thought that these nurses have been dealing with this a lot longer than I have. And it actually is very, very nice to be able to take a break from stressing about it for a while while they're at school. So thank you to all the nurses at the schools.
Absolutely.
But anyway, what was I going to say? So when I meet with T1D moms, a lot of times what they tell me is that like they just love to hear my perspective, that I'm so relaxed about it and hopeful, and that it's not as big a deal as they kind of are thinking. Because especially at diagnosis, it is, right? It's just like a huge big deal that takes over your whole life, and you can't even imagine how you'll ever live a normal life. But that's the hope that we want to share with you, is that you totally can. You can still go to Disney World. In fact, it's better with diabetics because you can get on the DAS path. You want to tell them about that?
If you have diabetes, go to Disney World immediately. Get the DAS pass. Your kids won't wait in line for more than 2 minutes on any ride in the whole park.
That's a little bit of an
DAS pass.
exaggeration, but
Disneyland, Disney World, DAS pass, do it.
yeah. So, and then you'll meet other diabetics in line too, because everybody in the short line has a Dexcom on or whatever. Anyway, what does DAS stand for?
Disability something services.
Yeah.
Disability something services.
Super awesome. So yeah, you can live the life you want to live. Your kids will live a great life. There is hope. There is peace. It's just take it one day at a time, and sometimes take it 1 minute at a time when you gotta shorten your lens when it's an acute situation. But the panic is not necessary. The freak out is not necessary. Everybody's gonna be fine, and you can do this.
So with that said, remember that our family has managed highs and lows with sugar is what I mean. You know, their BG has been high, it's low. We've had all the drama, we've had the roller coaster, we've lived it. You know, there's times where there's a recurring high, you can't get them down, or there's a time where they're, you know, once we've actually had to use a glucagon shot about 6 months ago on one of our little girls. It was rain 6 months ago. It was in the middle of the night. She was low, and she wouldn't wake up to drink any juice. She was awake. She was just really groggy. Her blood was probably at like 40, 35 or 40. It was so low. And she wouldn't wake up to drink juice. She wouldn't eat fruit snacks. Again, this is like at 2 a.m. And she's sitting there in my lap. She could talk and things, but she was just so lethargic. She wouldn't eat anything. So we literally had to pull out glucagon. And so we called, we didn't call 911. We called here in Primary Children's Hospital in Utah. They have a 24-hour line for diabetes. We called them and they reminded us the steps of using the glucagon. And we gave her a glucagon shot and got her blood up. So we've been through the roller coaster, and I'm not communicating this, and we're not communicating this to say that we're awesome. We're communicating this to tell you guys that you're awesome and that we love you, and we're excited that we can be in this community together and that we can work together as parents to have love and support for our precious children. Just let's all be grateful and thankful that we do live in a day where this medicine is manageable for our children, that we can take care of them and give them the care that we need and the love and support to be able to have them live a happy, healthy life. I'm thankful that we can be parents of these sweet children, whether they have diabetes or don't. But the Fruit Snacks podcast with my wife, I think, is a great community that everyone should continue to be part of. And if we can continue to work together as a strong circle of parents and loved ones, we'll be able to continue to show great love and support for these children as they grow throughout their lives.
Thanks, Kritsky. We got some alarm going off, so I guess that's it. Thanks for listening. As always, if you found it helpful, rate it with a 5-star review.
Rate, like, and share.
Rate, like, and share. And what else do you want to say? Like you said, we're not dietitians. We're obviously not experts. We're just parents like you, and I'm a life coach, and the life coaching tools that I'm equipped with have helped me so much. I just want to help other T1D moms with those same tools. So, or dads, families, right? So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Anything else to say, Kritsky?
Love you, folks. You can do it. Take care.
Bye. Hey, T1D moms. Was that episode helpful? I put together a free video for you with my top 3 brain hacks for T1D moms. Check it out at dropthewar.com/top3. Having a child with diabetes is hard enough. Let's not make it any harder with the way we're thinking about it all. Get my free top 3 brain hacks for T1D moms video at dropthewar.com/top3. See you there. Hello, my sweet T1D parent friend. The next time you catch yourself thinking that you can't do this anymore, redirect your brain to Philippians 4:13 and remind yourself that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. As your life coach, I'm here to be a conduit to help you get your brain and body aligned in order for your spirit to clearly communicate with His Spirit to become your own diabetes parenting expert. Go to dropthewar.com/appointments for your complimentary coaching session, and let's do this thing.